Hello, everybody, and welcome from Grandmaster Max Dlugy. Take it to the Max show from the sunny Sicily. Today, I will be taking all challenges from a beautiful place, and that, of course, will give me a lot of reasons to do my best, as I did not do in the World Blitz Championship, which just finished a few days ago, unfortunately, and the World Rapids. And so today will be my attempt to revenge for those tough days. So good luck, everybody, but it will not be easy. So let's see who comes first. Okay, Damasta Odisasta. Oh, very funny name. Very nice. Okay, let's see how you do in this 5-minute game. Okay, this is usually not so good because of this move, Queen B3, which attacks 2 pawns at the same time. That's why usually Bishop F5 is delayed by a little bit by people in the know, such as myself. But anyway, it's the things that can be done, I suppose. Although I don't know exactly what. I don't know exactly what can be done. But I imagine something can be done. Okay, for example, that. Okay, let me just take a big fat free pawn while attacking 2 pieces and forcing an exchange of queens. That should always be a nice sign. Okay, now knight c7 is a big threat. Okay, nice defense. Now I will go back. My knight. Okay, now I will. Yes, now I'll play e4 to hit that bishop. If black takes on d4, I'll be waiting to trap that knight there somewhere. Okay, now just I guess bishop e3 is logical. Knight f3 maybe, or maybe even d5. Yeah, just open up the position, maybe, why not? Open up the position for all my pieces. That's what I want to do. Just gonna open it all up. Okay, now I'm just gonna castle so that my rook can also enter the fray. I think that's a good plan. Get all my pieces out quickly. d5 opened up the lines for my pieces to come in like a river flow. All right. It's not easy. Okay. Let's attack the knight. Then the bishop comes out with check. And then hopefully some more stuff happens. There it is. The promised check. Let's see what our next move should be, though. Black should probably go king d8. And then maybe have to think about a good. Okay, this is a little bit dangerous. First of all, I can pin that knight. And worst come to worst, I'm gonna get a lot of good moves in still. I think black has to play knight h5. I can win an exchange after that. In fact, this move is the move I was going to play on knight h5. Now it's all over. Now there's no defending e5. Well, maybe. No. Knight g4 h3. And it's too much. Too much to handle. And if knight d7, bishop takes knight. Also too much. The key is not to allow f6, which would actually save a full knight. That we don't want to do. So here black is in real trouble if I play h3 on knight g4. Otherwise, he can still scrape out a living for a bit. And there it is. And there it is. And by the way, here I could take with a knight. And that maybe will provide more entertainment than taking with the bishop. And now I can check here. And I don't need to. I could have actually played knight takes g6. Maybe that was even better. But in any case, I have so much material here. I can check here and then take the knight. And I'll be up. What am I going to be up? 2 pieces. And an ongoing attack. Okay, maybe I should make it a little pretty for the fans, right? I'm sure there are a lot of fans here, so I'll make it a little pretty here. So rook e1, allowing black to take the rook. Oh, not so easy. Okay. Fine. Just take the knight then. Just take more stuff. Okay. It's not looking very pretty for black, but why not play on, right? All right, take this guy. Could have played bishop e8 check too. Okay, so if we go back in this game, we'll see that black's main problem came very early, which is this move bishop f5. It's a problematic move because it leaves b7 and d5 hanging. And that's always true of Queen's Gambit decline formations. As soon as your bishop leaves, make sure this pawn and this pawn together aren't hanging, because that's just too much to bear. And of course, at this point already, it's black is lost. And really nothing much to say after that, except that maybe here, somewhere in here, black should have taken and maybe defended the square with the knight to try to at least stop the inflow of my pieces into the position. After, let's say, after this, I would maybe knight b4 was a little bit better, and certainly after this, king d8 was a much better move than king d6. In any case, if you're being attacked, try to keep your king away from your opponent's pieces. Okay, very good. Who's next? Who is next? Okay, Calvert. Hello, my friend. Let me show you the Scandinavian defense. And there it is. Queen d6, the final truth for the Scandi players. And bishop g4, simple stuff. Pinning the knight, getting my bishop developed. Okay, now I'm probably going to win a pawn, but white will have compensation. So here it is. Let's see how this goes. Okay, queen d8. So far so good. Been played before. No problem. Knight d7. Okay, some thinking is going to this. Okay, fine. Knight f6 is fine, and bishop b3, knight f6, e6. I'm just developing. That's all I'm trying to do. Just develop my pieces. I think I should just castle. I don't see a reason why not. Truly. No particular reason not to castle. I have to take with the bishop. Okay, no checkmate. No checkmate allowed. So g6 first. Okay, this is a dangerous move. I have to admit, I don't see where the queen is going after this. It looks like a very dangerous idea. Very dangerous. Would not like to be in white's shoes now. I think it's time to call the game. Game over. Okay, if we look back a little bit here, first of all, the first few moves are actually all theoretical moves. This has all been played before. Bishop d3 is a little bit passive. I would say bishop c4 makes more sense to me, although not necessarily bad. And now after e6, bishop g5 is reasonable, but maybe here it's time to take instead of playing rook e1. Maybe here bishop takes knight, and okay, if I could take with a knight. Then okay, white can win back one pawn at least. Well, probably with equality of some sort. Although maybe black is a little bit better. But on the other hand, if black takes with the bishop, then maybe knight e4. So I think this is the way that, at least at this point, the game could have gone. Because rook e1 castles, now not clear what exactly white has for the pawn. I can just move my queen away next move to lots of different squares and be a pawn up. So white tried to do something drastic here, but again, maybe knight e4. Of course, now knight e4, I can just move my queen away. And again, it's not clear what compensation white has for the pawn. So not really a good opening for white in that case. So, of course, trapping the queen was an easy way to finish the game. Okay, who's next? Who is next? And I'm white all of a sudden, okay. I'm playing against the Sox Gambit. Let's see what that is. Maybe I should avoid it. Let me avoid the Sox Gambit with bishop f4. I don't want to run into something I don't quite know. This is quite familiar territory for me nowadays. Okay. Don't forget, when the bishop leaves c8, b7 is a target, right? Here I am with my target. Okay, that's fine. I don't need to target immediately. Okay, now I can do it. Take. Okay, let me just make sure my bishop has a way out. All right, let me continue with my plan. No problem there. Can move away for sure. Okay. Let's continue our development. Okay, this is interesting now. The white is ready to, black is ready to do something active on the e-file. It's going to be dangerous. Black has been playing very well this game by then. Probably bishop e2 is already a mistake. Okay, this move though I don't like. I like pawn takes pawn because black was ready. White was ready for some good stuff. So now I'm gonna take myself, and finally I'm gonna. Well, I can't cancel because of bishop takes pawn, right? So I have to go king f1. Maybe, maybe not. Maybe I can go here, allowing the bishop check. It's logical actually what I did, but fine. I should have castled and then after bishop c5, done bishop a6. That would be much more logical, but fine. That's the way I chose to play it. Oh, there's a bishop out there that I was going to use. Okay, fine. That's a different approach to the game. Sacrificing in this position is probably not sufficient for full compensation, although that I don't understand at all. Well, that's not me, they have a rook. Well, I don't know what black decided to do, but somehow he, after playing a great opening, completely destroyed himself over the course of a couple moves. So, don't know what happens when that happens. Let's exchange bishops, shall we? Yeah, this ending should be nice. If black takes the knight, that will be the end, not the ending. Okay, I'll keep the knights. Okay, so this was actually a very, very nicely played game at the beginning by black. Here, we enter kind of a known position, and black decides to get counterplay very quickly, and that was a really good idea, I think. Instead of b5, I probably should have solidified my position. b5 is not running away. I should have played knight f3 first. Instead, I played b5, e5 immediately comes, and now you see knight f3 would have stopped it had my knight been on f3, but instead now I have to retreat, and black uses that time to open up the e file. That was very smart. And here, for example, after bishop e2, already knight takes knight, and here all that black had to do is maybe take this pawn. The idea being that if bishop takes, he can take back, and if king moves, he just move the bishop. And this bishop on f5 is protecting the knight on d5, so I can't quite make use of it. I mean, I can try certain things, and probably I'm not worse here, but not clear if I have an advantage. So this is what black should have played already. But instead, he played knight f6, giving me an excellent chance to get out of this problems. Here, I should have just castled with the idea that on bishop takes c5 to play bishop a6. Instead, for some reason, I changed the moves, and now my king is much worse placed on f1 rather than g1. And here, all black had to do, well, black played bishop b6, but after this, he should have just moved the rook here. After rook d8, we would have had quite an interesting game, because actually the position is not so so difficult for black. Probably here you can play rook e7, for example, and the problem with my king is quite severe. I mean, if I play, okay, maybe I can play knight e5 to play g4 and king g2, but okay, black has an outside pass pawn, and reasonable chances he just should move his knight away to attack this one, and let's say after rook a3, okay, let's say g4, bishop g6, rook a3, play, okay, not bishop g6, I gotta admit, bishop c8, rook a3, and then play f6 to kick this knight out, and then when the knight moves, then black can start getting rid of the strong bishop here. So or even maybe prepare to play rook c8 with bishop e6. Either way, I think black would be fine. Instead, black just gave up material, and of course that is never a good idea unless there's an actual reason for it. And this, of course, there's no reason to just give up the rook plus the pawn. So here, of course, white is much better, and I went on to win the game. Okay, who's next? Ploikin. Good luck, Mr. Ploikin. All right, here we go. I'm playing the King's Indian or something like that. And you're playing the, interestingly, the Perk defense. Fine. That's where we stand then. Okay, knight g4, h6. Okay. I should play this. Well, you're not meeting me anymore, so why not I open it up? And I'm back. Could have taken on d4. That would probably be a better choice. Okay, I'll take now. And let's move the queen away from there. Because I don't want to get hit by e5 at some point. Okay, now I'm just moving my queen to a slightly better square. Although I'm kind of treading in unfamiliar territory here because white can win a pawn now. Well, although I think I'll have compensation, but I think white could win a pawn here. Well, let's see what happens. Okay, white decides not to go for bishop takes knight, which I thought was quite reasonable. Now I'll protect my d5 square with the bishop, so that the issue doesn't come up again. I'll start my counterattack. Okay. Okay, f5 is a serious threat. Okay, I'm going to have to develop my pieces. To start some sort of a serious attack later on. But I'm not sure how fast my attack is. We'll see. Okay, so my plan was to take the knight and to create this dark square blockade. That was my plan. Now, if that's a good plan or not remains to be seen. But in any case, it's at least a plan of any kind. It's some kind of plan, right? Okay, now the queen should do something around the king, I think. Queen a1 check and knight a2 mate are notable threats, I would say, at this point. So that will force white to think about defense. I like the version knight b1, knight a2 checkmate. Just thought I might mention it, although knight takes e4 is also strong. So, don't really see how white is getting out of this unscathed. I think there's some serious problems here for white. There's defensive issues here. Somehow the dark squares and the fact that I'm threatening queen a1 mate is okay. This is handled with this. That's the idea that I had. As a temporary sacrifice of the knight to checkmate in 2 moves. Okay, that is how does that defend exactly? I take here because I need to cover the d2 square, and then queen a2 check is again leading to mate. So this looks like it's over. And really, the reason is not so clear, except to say that here, white had, for example, pawn takes pawn, to maybe go and take this pawn here. And I don't know if this is enough compensation, how this position is. It looks like white is a little bit better, at least a little bit better here. So that was stage 1 possibility, to take simply the pawn here on c5. Then after white played h3, I should have taken on d4. That would have, of course, been the right move. Instead, I played knight f6 again, allowing something like pawn takes pawn. All the white castles, I take, and then I play queen a5. And now bishop takes knight would lead, after bishop takes bishop, knight d5, queen takes queen, king takes, to a position where I think white, well, maybe I can play knight d7. Yeah, here I should be okay, or king g7. So, okay, so here already I'm okay, but then after knight b3, queen c7, maybe this was a mistake. Now white should take on f6. If I take with the bishop, now queen takes pawn is reasonable. I have to take with a pawn, and then white can play, for example, knight b5 to take with the knight, or queen d6. And I would have to really search for compensation. I mean, queen d6, rook d6, f5. Let's say bishop g3, knight c, pawn takes pawn, Bishop takes. It doesn't look like white is in trouble at all here. So this was a problem for me. I should have actually thought of something better to do than queen 8, queen c7, probably queen. Although queen d8, e5 is also dangerous. So yeah, this is a bishop d3 is a big mistake, not using the fact all these great opportunities. And then I played knight c6, kind of inviting white to play f5, and that was a mistake to play f5, because I think after this, all of a sudden, I have good chances to start a serious attack here on a5. And of course, this was just a very bad move. After queen a5, I don't think it's easy to even find a good defense for white. Okay, who's next? Here we are, Diet Coke. Good luck. With a high rating like that, you may not need it. Bishop f4, very cool. Okay, I'm going to play it simple. c3, queen b3, knight d2. And try to make your bishop look a little bit weird down on g4. All right. Here we are. Okay. Actually, maybe now I should play h3, right? Maybe not. It's castle. Okay. Okay. Let me be the first one to open up the gates of fun. Take a little bit more space. Okay, interesting with the knight, I think. Okay. I'm getting myself a lot of double pawns, but I'm not worried somehow. Because I don't know who's going to defend the pawn on b7, for example, after I play knight a5. That I don't know. If I had an answer to that, I would be worried. But right now, I don't have an answer. So I'm not worried at all. Okay, black is thinking, and he's right to think. Okay, it's a reasonable move. Now I was planning to play bishop d6 on that. Making use of my bishop the most I can. Okay. Okay, fair enough. Right. Let's continue adding the pressure. Let's add some pressure to this position. Interesting. Okay. That's a good move. Okay, let's open up and exchange. Nicely played by black so far. Still a game though. Tough game, but it's still a game. Forcing me to move away. Fine. Let me move away. I could have taken the C file, but I decided to move away. Okay. Let's grab the C file after all. It's time for the C file. And here I am, trying to show that I have full control of the board. Okay. And who is defending the B pawn? No one, right? Good. So I'll be a pawn up. That's the first step in the right direction. Let's take that pawn. Okay, now black has to defend. Let's control that knight. Okay, I'm not sure if I want to exchange, although the position is quite interesting if I do. But okay, let me just improve my king for now and wait a bit. Okay. Interesting. Get my king out. Okay, I think I better take this guy. It looks like I should take it. Okay, maybe I shouldn't be so in such a hurry here. Okay, time to act. Time to act. Time to act, really. Maybe I shouldn't have acted this fast, but we'll see. Okay. Interesting. All right, let's queen. Okay, this is interesting. Ay. Very well played by Tate Coke so far. Ay. Looks like White's gonna make a draw. Nice. Moment of truth. Should I play for a win or give a draw? I'm gonna play for a win. I'm gonna play for a win. and no win. Okay, very well done. Okay, so if we look at this game, I mean, black played very well. This bishop g4 is an interesting move to kind of at least develop the bishop, but don't go get into contact with my pieces. And then black played quite well for a while. And this was a tricky moment because actually seeing that this would be problematic is not so easy. But this c6 b7 complex is always quite dangerous without the light squared bishop around. But black found a way to defend, and then I tried to come back, attacking on this side. Here, perhaps knight b6 with a move to protect the rook and stop b5. That was another way to play the position. Black decided to handle it by exchanging some pieces, but that allowed b5. And that led me into this very nice ending, because the light squared bishop is now hitting directly, plus b4, b5. Combined, all of that should win a pawn, and it did. But the pawn did not turn out to be enough, because at some point I made some mistakes. I don't know, maybe the position is just not quite that obviously winning, but because of my pawn structure. But somewhere around here, when I decided to finally go for it, e4, maybe I should have prepared first with f3, king e2, rook d2, e4. But even then, you know, black has a plan: rook a1, rook h1, and going after the h4 pawn. So the speed with which I did it is not clearly so bad. In fact, who knows? Maybe somewhere around here, I was looking at the move. Black actually here avoided h3, rook e3, which was my trap, and then the pawn is lost and black is lost. That was a trap to be avoided, and black avoided it very nicely. Played g5. I was actually looking at the move rook e7 to try to come out here, but maybe after g4 and king g5, it's still not clear if I have more than a draw after g3. The king is just too far away. Hard to say. Has to be kind of calculated, but there's some ideas like f4 maybe here, but I don't know. Not sure at all about it. So the way the game went was actually quite logical. I mean, black was slightly worse, went into a technical position, which is either winning or drawn, and then played very well to save it. And this is basically the story of many chess games where white gets an advantage. So very well played by Diet Coke, although I do prefer the regular stuff. All right, who's next? Kawanishi. Okay, we meet again. And let's see how you do here. After this quiet move, c6. Okay, it's a good idea. Always get the bishops out, right? Get the bishops out, and then who knows, maybe the knights can come out too. Why not? I'm actually going to save my bishop in case the knight goes after it, so I'm going to go h6 for that reason. And then just develop my... Okay, I'm not worried about a4 at all. I don't know where that exactly trying to go. Although I guess it was a way to stop my b5. Okay, here I should just exchange this knight, but... Okay, queen takes d7. It's more logical to move the knight to c6 at the end of the day. Okay, here... Move the bishop or take the pawn? What do you think? I'm just going to move the bishop. Why did I have to move there? I don't know. But anyway, I did it. Now on queen g4, we'll have to lock it up in d4. Otherwise, I would have choices. Well, not that many too. Rook d8 maybe. Okay. That I saw. That's why I went for this. I continue developing like nothing happened. Plus, I still have the center. Still have the center control. That is the point. Central play. Okay. Okay, white looks nice, but I don't mind my position. Although still not certain why I moved my bishop to h7 rather than g6. Okay, well that just resolved that issue, right? I just resolved that issue in one move. Thank you very much for that help. Back to the initial square. How nice. Okay, now let's see how I can improve my position. Well, one way is just to develop my rook, but it doesn't really help that much. Okay, I think I see that. I'm going to move my bishop away so that it's not in the rook's eye. Let's put it this way. And then I'm going to try to get my rooks onto the e file. That's a nice prophylactic move, actually. That stops my exact idea, exactly what I wanted. So that's nice. Rook c1 is nice, protecting knight against knight b4 and rook e8. That's very nice. Okay, well, I'll need another idea now. One idea is just to exchange queens. It's an idea that can't be really too bad, because I still have a slight advantage in space thanks to my pawn on d5, and this will cut away the e5 square from white, which should also be nice. Now let's just, okay, so now white wants to play bishop h3. Maybe we should stop that. Just stop that for now. Not forever, but at least for now. Okay, now I'm going to try to get my bishop to h6. So king f7, g6, bishop h6. That's my next plan of action. Bishop e3, knight e3, then bishop e6. That shouldn't be that scary. There I am. I can try c4, but after knight b4, I'm not sure that... f4. Okay, but I was going to play g6. I told everybody about it. Everybody heard about it. So that's the move I'm playing anyway. Okay, now probably under the circumstance of f4, it's time to take out the bishop on d4 completely. And then after that, the bishop on d5. So d4, bishop d5. Missed that. I missed that completely, but then that means I have to go into this position, which is not bad for me, but maybe not as good as I was planning. Okay. Okay, there's something to be said for the move c4 here, which aims to play bishop c5 to pick up an exchange. Okay. Okay, this is... Okay, so actually, if I leave this bishop alone, it's not going to be so easy. So I'm gonna sacrifice here and play knight b4, attacking lots of pawns plus the rook. So I'm not sure how white defends against everything. So when I take the rook, I of course win the bishop as well. And that's the point. All right, very tough game. Very tough game, and still not over, according to my opponent, although maybe it is time to hang up the coat here. Okay, so if we go back, I mean, this is an extremely interesting game. This is, I mean, the opening is quite standard for, although a4 I don't like. I don't really understand why white needs to play a4. And here, I think white was correct to open up the game. Bishop h7 was a mistake. I should have played it to g6, as white actually helped me out later by playing queen h5 here. He should have just doubled on the e file, in my opinion. Queen h5, queen f3, bishop f8, and still, okay, rook c1 was a good move because I was actually planning to play knight b4 and on rook c1, rook e8, but this stopped it. And now, although I still could have played knight b4, come to think of it. I don't know why I kind of gave up a little early. I could have played knight b4 here. Just defending the d pawn, and this knight is difficult to bite at because of the pawn on d3, so I could have just continued. I don't know why I stopped. Sometimes when you believe your opponent's ideas, you stop carrying out your plans, and you shouldn't do that. You should just think whether they actually stop them. Okay, so I exchanged queens and started controlling some space, some squares around white's kingside. And okay, here I completely forgot that white can play f5 on g6. Otherwise, I should have played f5 myself. So I should play f5 myself, I think, just to stop it. Instead of the g6, bishop f3, okay, here again f5 was the move. Instead, I played d4, and that allowed, of course, f5. Now I have to go into this position, which is not necessarily bad, but the bishop, the two bishops now, I think should be enough for white to hold a equality at the very least. Well, not at the very least, but because the pawns, these pawns are really stymied by this pawn on c5. So actually, I think overall the position is about equal. But of course, this does not stop my main threat of bishop c5. And here, after pawn takes, bishop c5, bishop d5 takes. Okay, this was a tactical moment that white had to figure out what to do. After knight b4, maybe c4 is playable. No, it's not. No, knight c2 then wins. So what could white have done? King f1 maybe? King f1, let's say, yeah, and then the bishop takes, still rook takes, wins the pawn. So, okay, white was in trouble as soon as he ignored my threat of c4, but that's basically it. Otherwise, a tough game. Thank you. Who's next? All right. NAS. Wow. I hope you guys are, okay with me playing you. Okay. Maybe it's NAS or NSA. I don't know. Better be an NAS. Fine. Here's my bishop g3 move, my star move, to open up my. Okay, this does not happen. I will continue harassing black's king now on the H file and the light squares and the dark squares as well, because I'm going to take that knight at some point. Okay, black maybe should get away with that knight. Maybe I should have taken a previous move, but even then, okay, I'm going to take it now. I don't want it to escape. This knight should not escape. This is a very serious knight that I really will need. I don't want anyone to influence my knight on e5. Only black's knight can do that now, but that is not enough. Just not enough. Because I have another knight. A replacement knight. Okay, this means I'm continuing my attack. Okay. And now I will just solidify my position in the center. And then castle, queenside, double on the H file and play G5. What can happen? How bad could that be? How bad could that be? I don't think that would be bad at all. I think that would be just perfect, in fact. By the way, I'm in my super Sicilian shirt, just to make you guys feel like, you know, you're in a sunny Sicily here. Just in case you were wondering what I'm wearing here. Okay. Time to think for black. Some serious pensation going on. But how to improve black's position is the big question. I have an idea. I was thinking bishop e8 to defend the pawn and then move the knight away, but then g5. G5, the rook would be unprotected. Very, very dangerous. Although maybe then knight g8, who knows? I mean, something like that. Something where tactics are trying to really help black is what is the only way that black can really hope to reduce white's advantage here. So if black does nothing for a few moves, and I double in the h file and play g5, it's all over. So, yeah, excellent. I think that's the right approach. So for me to stop it, maybe I should play e4 now. Should I wait for knight d7 and then? Should I wait for knight d7? Another thing I can do is just replace the knight with my own knight by playing queen g3, for example, and then I'll play. Yeah, that's what I'm going to try to do. Afraid of my g5, and so you're planning to play f6. Okay, I will castle. It's time to definitely castle here, and I will play knight d3 for now. Okay, exchanging queens should not be a problem. I don't think it should be a problem, and then just play e4. Okay, maybe this was a way for black to play, reasonable way. Black is a little passive, but nothing special, I think. Nothing so horrible. This move I don't agree with. First of all, I can play knight b4 and just improve the position later, but maybe I should just ignore this rook a2 business. I'm going to play knight b4 anyway. And just get my rook onto a good file. I think that's more important than moving my knight back to the center. Okay, here after e5, the pawn structure would be different, but first f4 I think is important to keep this knight on h7 exactly where it is. Okay, now my favorite threat of them all, g5, no? Is it time for it? Let's try it. Aha, a quiet move after that. After all that, okay, I'll take this pawn here. I don't want to keep this quiet. And just defend. Now black has an actual weakness, a pawn on h6. Okay, trying to get rid of it, I understand. But still, it is there. I will not let you get rid of it, in fact. Not immediately. Okay, take this guy. Move back. Okay, very nice. Very well done. But now what? Okay, and now what? Okay, and now I play f5. And take. And take this way. Surprise, surprise. Take. And all right, rook h2 for now. Knight f2. Knight f4. Knight f2. Knight f2. Knight f2 and g4. Ay, ay, ay. Can't attack it. Can't attack it. Ay, ay, king d2. All right, have to play the knight and pawn ending. What can I say? Not a very tough one. Okay, first the king. Always first the king. If you get into an ending and you're thinking, what should I do? First thing, what about my king? First the king, and then everything else. So knight and pawn endings are like king and pawn endings. Very, very similar. If you have a winning king and pawn ending, most likely the knight and pawn is also quite good for you. Okay, and my opponent resigned, and he's right. The position is quite lost, although maybe resigning exactly is a little early. But if you look back at what happened here, first of all, black made the mistake of taking on g3, opening up the h file. That's a strategic mistake. The second mistake black makes is allowing me to exchange the bishop for the knight. But it's still just an advantage. And here, black played very well. He castled queenside and then found an excellent way to defend bishop e8. Now, the idea was that on g5, knight g8, my pawn is attacked, and I would have to take. And then, of course, the h file initiative just dissipates. Okay, white may be a little bit better, but why go for this? So I decided to keep my trumps intact, and I just played queen g3 to replace the knight with my other knight if black chooses knight d7. Instead, black played knight h7, which I think is a bit maybe risky. And then here, black could have gone bishop g6, but then I would have had knight f4. So that was my intent, although black could play queen e8. Queen d6, and I went into the ending, and then immediately took control of the center. Okay, this move was a mistake, rook a6. And here I think white's already much better. But in this position, I think I should have played pawn takes pawn and then g5, clarifying this weakness here in case black does kind of what he did in the game. Here I thought black could just take and play h5, and I don't think it was that clear. For example, g5, g4, h4, knight f3, knight g6, and it's still not clear if I'm going to just win this pawn for nothing, or some stuff is going to happen like similar to what happened in the game. So instead, black of course played very well. He played knight g6, but then g3, h5. Now I should have again taken on d5. That was a big mistake, not to take and to play allow knight f3, and that allowed black to come out with the bishop out of nowhere. And of course here h4 was the move, and then that would have solved many of black's problems right here because the knight is pinned. But black rushed to take the knight first, and then that created a weakness on h4. Now, actually, pawn takes pawn was possible. The knight is fully protected, and then white would only have a slight advantage. So actually, my mistake was in allowing that. I should have played pawn takes pawn here probably, or maybe g4, just g4 maybe. That would eventually make a weakness out of this h pawn. So I also made some mistakes. I forgot that the knight is protecting the rook, and black made this move h3, after which simply won the pawn. I made sure I win the f pawn, the h pawn as well. Okay, and transpose into this winning knight and pawn ending, which black resigned because he's going to lose this pawn. And of course, my knight can settle on c5 with a pawn on a5, protecting everything, and with a winning position. So that was quite a nice run. You guys got one draw today, and it was a great game. Some nice, interesting games. I hope you enjoyed it. This was Grandmaster Max Dlugy. Join me next week for the show. Thank you, and bye-bye.
1 second, Max.